left lane to stay to the left, to M25 towards Watford. Speed enforcement zone ahead.
Please, if government works, if they cannot protest, we are not there. We go open our yansh, we go open our press, we go protest. Too much stubbornness, too much for this country. But you know, but before you win, you go suffer. The stubbornness is too much. Please, when they find solution for this shit, it's too much. Gary, 2,000 naira. Since when my father bought me, I did not buy 1,000 naira base of Gary. They're selling it 2,000 naira now. It's too much. The stubbornness is too much. Even the rent, the Rika one rice of 1,200 naira for one treaty. It's too much, oh. To buy me, with the even the comments I don't rise up. Two fish, the egg, Chicago, 1,200 naira, 3 of the pieces of.
That's all. But there seems to be some confusion in Yoruba land. I see that maybe perhaps the generality of the people do not feel as passionate about self-determination. And secondly, there is all kinds of positions. Afenifere is talking about restructuring. You are talking about self-determination.
You don't know this. You don't know the nature of the Yoruba society. You don't. Most of the young people, and they are the majority in Yoruba land, want the self-determination of their Yoruba nation. That's the truth of the matter. That's what is keeping the movement going. And they are also doing so in the diaspora. Yoruba young men and women all over the world want their own country, separate from Nigeria. Then you cannot deny that. No matter how much you want to pander to the government, you cannot deny that. But that's the truth.
But anyway,
The important thing, however, and I'm surprised that you are not talking about that, is that the Yoruba people who are fighting for self-determination are telling the world and telling themselves that they will do it only peacefully. We are Yoruba. We know our status in the world. We know our status in the black world. We do not want to destroy the peace of Nigeria, and we do not want to bring difficulty into the lives of any other group in Nigeria. But we want to get out of Nigeria. That's it.
well, Prof, you were a strong member.
I'm not talking about that. You are asking me questions. You are asking me questions as if what Onitiri did has the support of the majority of Yoruba people who want self-determination. It is not true.
Well, Prof,
It has a small minority of a section that is ready to do illegalities. A year ago, they went and attacked a radio station in Ibadan, and so on. Now this year, they are attacking the entire government of Ibadan, and so on. No, but we have never sent anybody to go and do that. we do not support it or encourage it. And we think it is criminal.
Prof,
And so if they get punished for their criminality, we have no objection to that.
Prof, you are a strong
You
member.
cannot, because of them, generalize opposition to self-determination. You cannot.
Well, Prof, you are a strong member of the Unity Party of Nigeria. Also a very strong member of Afenifere. Afenifere is talking about restructuring. You are now talking about self-determination. What is the difference, in these two?
Our fathers in Afenifere are doing the right thing. Talking about restructuring, so that we can go back and live our own life the way we used to live it prosperously. They're doing the right thing. There is nothing wrong with that. But we, another group of people, larger in number than they, are now saying, no, self-determination is the answer, not restructuring. Why? Because when you restructure, you are still in Nigeria. And the people who are coming and disrupting your life and destroying your farms and killing your women and raping your mothers and daughters and so on are still Nigerians. They still have a right to come to Nigeria. The only final solution to that is to separate, so that you have a separate Yoruba country where we can make our own laws and so on, to which we admit only people we want to admit. So nobody can claim that they have a right to come to our land. They don't have such a thing. But as long as we are in Nigeria, no matter what restructuring is done, they still have the right to come to our land and do the things that we're doing. Nobody is talking about the fact that most Yoruba farmers have been driven from their farms. I am not hearing that. I'm hearing only about government. I'm not hearing about people. You are not talking about the fact that most Yoruba farmers have been driven from their farms, and that the Yoruba nation is in danger of famine upon famine upon famine for years and years to come. You are not talking of the fact that the Fulani declared war on Nigeria on the 24th of January and 26th of January and said that Tinubu is not our president. We are going to Aso-Rock. We will take over the seat of government there, and we will use this place to organize the conquest of the rest of Nigeria. You're not talking about that. You are not talking of people who said no Fulani man must be arrested for the bomb in Ibadan. If you do, you will have bombs in every town in Yoruba in Nigeria. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the sheer insult of living in a country where some people are treating the government like that. They are talking about Onitiri and so on. Why do our...
Well, Prof, let me ask you this. Self-determination...
You are entitled to your opinion. You are entitled to your opinion, but what I'm saying is that your opinion rigorously avoids the truth. Rigorously.
Well, Prof,
avoids the truth.
Nigeria, as Oniko Chiche told us in his research on ethnic nationalities in Nigeria, has over 300 ethnic nationalities. Will you recommend self-determination to all the other ethnic nationalities in Nigeria? For all these nationalities to...
Those who want it, don't ask me a general question. I am asking for self-determination for a nation, the Yoruba nation. There are about 60 million people in Nigeria, and their territory is large enough to be a large country. So that's what I'm talking about. Any other nationality in Nigeria that wants self-determination is free to ask for it. I cannot come and ask for self-determination for nations that are not mine. No.
Well, Prof, as we have this, we're happy.
Have now been pushed to the fringes, talking about and believing and espousing the belief that Nigeria truly should be one.
We need to begin by resolving
crisis. Quite often when we speak about Nigeria, we collapse the distinction between country, state, and nation. We tend to think that the three mean the same. We tend to think the three are synonyms. A country is a territory. From the Latin contra terra, the land that lies ahead of you. A country is a territory. It is not necessarily a nation. A nation is an association of peoples, and I use that word in the plural deliberately because of diversity. A nation is an association
báàgì méjì 500 kí ló tún ṣẹlẹ̀ èwo ló tún ṣẹlẹ̀ báyìí kí ló tún kọ pé ọ̀tá omi tá fi ń dáná omi tá fi ń dáná kí ló dé pé gbogbo nǹkan báyìí ìnira ti pọ̀ jù ìnira pọ̀ jù Lagos State yìí kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ nígbà tẹ́ ẹ̀ ta pure water láti inú mọ́tò méjì 500 méjì báàgì méjì 500 láti inú mọ́tò àwọn tó máa tún tà á kọ́lé ló máa tà kí ló pé ìnira pọ̀ jù nílé Nàìjíríà ìnira ti pọ̀ jù àtìgbà tí Buhari ti bọ́lẹ̀ báyìí ni Buhari ti gbé lọ́ọ̀fù lọ ló ti gbé ìfẹ́ lọ kò sífẹ̀ẹ́ mọ́ ìnira yìí ti pọ̀ jù epo wọn àsọ̀rọ̀ gàrí wọn àsọ̀rọ̀ gbogbo nǹkan wọn àsọ̀rọ̀ ṣé pure water omi dáàmú lẹ́tún jẹ́ kó wọ́n omi tó so omi tó lọ́ọ̀ ń dà tó ń ṣe pé bóyá pé kíní òun lẹ́tún jẹ́ kó wọ́n ibo là ń lọ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà ibo là ń lọ báyìí ibo là ń lọ tó bá ipò ogun la máa jà tí gbogbo wèrè yìí máa fi sọ́ọ̀fù tó bá ipò ogun la máa jà tí gbogbo ìyà tí àwọn mẹ̀kúnnù jẹ yìí táàfì ní jẹ mọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká kúkú jagun ẹ tó bá máa kú kó kú ẹ tó bá máa yè kó yè ìnira adé ni wọ́n lára yóò ti pọ̀ jù ẹ̀yin nìkan lè gbẹ́rù kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ gan ṣe lè gbẹ́rù wọlé síbẹ̀ ni. Why stop the bill like this? Nàìjíríà ti máa dùn ún dé mi Nàìjíríà ìwọ̀nsù ìtìjọ́ ló máa tó dùn.
President Tinubu needs to put his best foot forward to govern the country. If he does that, in 4 years, he can turn things around. But there are certain critical things he would need to do. The first thing is to say, what's the Constitution? If, for instance, me and my wife Lillian don't agree in our marriage of 45 years, then we can't do anything. So the first thing that President Tinubu would need to do is to ensure that Nigerians all agree to be one country. You recall that Olaygi asked those two questions. Do we want to be one? It's not by force. If we want to be one, how? We haven't answered those questions, which is why I told President Ababi of the Senate that it has taken 23 years to solve the problem of the Constitution. And I urged him, in conjunction with President Tinubu, to resolve the Nigerian constitutional question now by inviting the owners of Nigeria. The owners of Nigeria, mark you, were those who owned Nigeria before Lugard brought his amalgamation in 1914. Call them in. These are the people who own the country, and ask them questions. What do you want to see of the Constitution? Because without a Constitution, we're going nowhere. And no one will doubt the fact that the Constitution bequeathed by the military in 1999 is unsatisfactory. You can't build anything out of a weak foundation. The economic development policy of President Tinubu, the political development policy of President Tinubu, and everything else he wants to do rests on a very solid foundation. So let him immediately resolve that. How can we spend 23 years looking for a foundation for building a house? Does that make sense to anybody? So that's my number one issue. We need to resolve this issue of do we want to be one? And mark you, the flip side of the question is that we mustn't be one. Because Yugoslavia, which was 6 countries under Marshal Tito when he died, decided to break apart. And today, a lot of them are very strong countries. Macedonia, Croatia, Slovenia, Slovakia, they're all doing well. So there is no sacrosanctity about Nigeria being one country. There's none. I personally would wish for Nigeria to be one country, but we must agree. Now that is the problem. Because we have not agreed, and because the National Assembly has appropriated to itself the all-knowing wisdom of giving us a constitution, that is the weakness. So that's the starting point.
Exit left to junction 23 towards A1. Exiting average speed enforcement zone.
Koikimedia, we're bringing the world closer to your doorstep.
In 200 meters, use the right-hand turn at the roundabout.
bàbá. Koikimedia, àwọn ni bàbá. Adáńtọ́, àtúnpèrè gidi. Àwa là ń gbẹ́tò lárugẹ jẹ́ ká jọgbọ́ o. Àtúnjà fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ wa, fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ọmọ Òdùwà ni wá o, tọkàntọkàn. Ikú tó ṣe bí lébi òsì, àdìmú bàbá yìí. We bring you up closer to your doorstep. Afẹ́fẹ́ tó fẹ́ òòdùn kan jòkó lára ni. Àpèrègìdè Olódùmarè ló fún wa ṣe. Gbogbo ayé ẹ gbọ́, àwa ni bàbá o. Ẹ máa bọ̀ wá ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà yín wá o. Òtútù alágbèdá ní òtítọ́ lágbèdá ní.